I want you to do a quick experiment with me. Pull up your bank account right now. Not your credit card, not your Venmo, your actual checking account. Look at the numbers sitting there 5 days before payday. Got it? Now divide that by how many hours you and your partner worked this month combined. 320 hours? Maybe more. That number you're looking at? That's what all that grinding actually produced. And I bet it stings. Here's a couple I keep thinking about. Marcus is a civil engineer pulling in $78,000. Jada works in healthcare administration making $67,000. Combined household income, $145,000. That's top 20% of American households. On paper, they're winning. In reality, they haven't taken a real vacation in 3 years. Their savings account has $4,200. When their water heater died in November, they financed it on a 22% APR credit card because they couldn't stomach draining what little cushion they had. They did everything right. 2 degrees, 2 careers, 2 401ks, a house in a good school district, a used Hyundai, and a 6-year-old Toyota in the driveway. No boats, no designer bags, and they're still drowning. If you and your partner are pulling in 6 figures combined and you still feel like you're treading water, stop blaming yourselves, because this isn't a budgeting problem, it's a math problem, and the math is rigged. Hit subscribe and drop a like if you've ever looked at your combined income and thought, where the hell does it all go? Because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where it goes, and more importantly, who's taking it.
Here's the thing most people never stop to question. We've been told since childhood that 2 incomes are better than 1. Your parents said it, your guidance counselors said it, every financial article on the internet says it. Get married, both of you work, stack that money, build wealth together. It's simple math, right? 1 plus 1 equals 2. But here's what actually happens. 1 plus 1 equals 0.5. And I'm not being dramatic. I'm going to prove it to you with real numbers. Because the math behind dual income households is the most misunderstood equation in personal finance, and most people go their entire careers without ever running it. There's a framework that explains exactly why this happens. It's called the dual income illusion, and the foundational research comes from Elizabeth Warren and Amelia Warren Tyagi. Back in 2003, when Warren was still a Harvard bankruptcy law professor, long before she entered politics, she and her daughter analyzed over 2,000 families who had filed for bankruptcy, and what they found rewrote everything we thought we knew about household income. Their core finding was devastating. Families with 2 working parents were actually more likely to go bankrupt than single-income families, not less likely, more likely. 2 paychecks, 2 careers, 2 people doing everything right, and they were more financially fragile. That's not a coincidence. That's a trap with a mechanism. And the mechanism is what most people miss entirely. Most financial experts won't highlight it because the entire modern financial planning industry is built on the assumption that both partners are earning and investing. The idea that the second income might be a net negative isn't just counterintuitive, it's heretical. But the numbers don't care about orthodoxy. Let me show you how the trap works with a family I'll call the Nguyen's. Kevin and Lisa Nguyen, early 30s, no kids yet, living outside Atlanta. He's a project manager making $82,000. She's a staff accountant making $64,000. Combined, $146,000. They sat down last January, opened a shared Google Sheet and made a plan. Save $30,000 that year. New home down payment. They tracked every dollar for 12 months, packed lunches most days, skipped the summer trip, kept the same phones. By December, they pulled up the spreadsheet. They'd saved $6,800, not $30,000, not even close. They went through every transaction. No big splurges, no hidden spending. They couldn't figure out where $23,200 had vanished. It wasn't missing. It was never theirs to begin with. The system had already allocated it before they ever saw it. And that's the part that most people never sit down and calculate.
Let me walk you through the real math of a dual income household, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. Take a household making $150,000 combined. Let's say partner A makes $85,000 and partner B makes $65,000. That feels like a lot of money. Most people hear $150,000 and think upper middle class, financially comfortable, building wealth. But let's trace where that money actually goes. First, taxes. A married couple filing jointly at $150,000 in 2024 faces a federal effective tax rate of about 17%, plus state income tax, which averages around 5% depending on where you live, plus 7.65% in FICA payroll taxes. Before you've bought a single gallon of milk, the government has taken roughly $44,500. Your $150,000 is now $105,500 in take-home pay. Now, housing. The median home price in America hit $420,800 in late 2024, according to the National Association of Realtors. At a 6.7% mortgage rate, which is what we're looking at in early 2025, a 30-year mortgage with 10% down on a $420,000 home runs you about $2,450 per month in principal and interest alone. Add property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance, and you're at roughly $3,200 per month. That's $38,400 per year. Your $105,500 just became $67,100. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people stop the analysis right there. Taxes and housing, that's the budget. Everything else is discretionary. Except it's not. Not when both of you work. 2 workers means 2 commutes. The AAA Foundation calculates the average annual cost of vehicle ownership at $12,182 per year as of 2024, including gas, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation. A single-income household might get by with 1 car. You need 2. That's an additional $12,000 your parents' single-income household never had to spend. Your $105,500 is now $55,100. Health insurance. Even with employer-sponsored plans, the average employee contribution for family coverage was $6,575 in 2024, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation's Employer Health Benefits Survey. That's what comes out of your paycheck. Out-of-pocket costs, co-pays, prescriptions, and deductibles add another $2,000 to $4,000 annually for a healthy family. Call it $9,000 total. You're down to $46,100. Now here's the part that nobody talks about, the exhaustion tax. When both partners work full-time, certain costs materialize that simply don't exist in a single-income household. The Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey shows that dual-income families spend 20 to 30% more on food than single-income families at the same income level. That's not because they eat more. It's because they eat out more. They order delivery more. They buy pre-cut vegetables and rotisserie chickens and $14 salads from Sweetgreen because nobody has the energy to meal prep after a 10-hour day, including commute. Let me give you a snapshot of how this plays out in 1 week. Monday, too tired to cook, Chipotle for 2, $28. Tuesday, one partner has a work dinner, the other orders DoorDash, $22 with fees and tip. Wednesday, $19 meal kit because nobody went grocery shopping. Thursday, leftovers. Friday, we deserve this, $85 dinner out. Saturday, brunch with friends, $52. Sunday, $165 grocery run, but half spoils because their schedules are too chaotic to cook at all. That's $371 in 1 week. Multiply by 52, $19,292 per year for food for 2 people. A single-income household where one person manages meals and shops strategically, $12,000. The gap is $7,000 per year, not because dual-income families are wasteful, because time is a resource and they've spent it all. The average American household already spends $9,334 per year on food away from home, according to BLS data. Dual-income households skew significantly higher. Let's conservatively add $5,000 per year in exhaustion-driven food spending compared to a single-income baseline, down to $41,100. And then there's the invisible infrastructure of working: professional wardrobe, dry cleaning, networking happy hours, work lunches when you forgot to pack one, professional development your employer encourages but doesn't pay for. These add up to $2,500 annually that nobody budgets for. You're at $38,600. Now let's talk about children, because this is where the dual income illusion turns into the dual income devastation. If you have kids, you need childcare.
The average annual cost of center-based childcare for an infant in the United States was $16,866 in 2024, according to Childcare Aware of America. For a 4-year-old, it's $12,345. Got 2 kids? You're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 per year. Let's use $28,000 for 2 children. Your $38,600 just became $10,600. Let me say that again. A household earning $150,000 per year with 2 kids in daycare, after taxes, housing, transportation, healthcare, food, work expenses, and childcare has approximately $10,600 left. For everything else. Student loan payments, which average $393 per month for borrowers according to the Federal Reserve. Utilities, phone bills, internet, clothing, household supplies, emergencies, savings, retirement beyond the employer match. That's $883 per month of actual discretionary income from $150,000 in earnings. That's $29 per day. That's $3.60 per hour for each partner during their working hours. That's not a typo. Now, here's the part that will blow your mind. Let's isolate the second income. Partner B earns $65,000. Let's trace what that income actually contributes to the household's bottom line. The marginal tax burden on the second income, stacking on top of partner A's $85,000, hits at the 22% federal bracket immediately, plus state and FICA. Effective rate on the second income alone, roughly 33%. Take home on $65,000, approximately $43,500. But here's the thing most people miss. If partner B wasn't working, the household wouldn't need the second car, minus $12,000. Childcare, because partner B would be home, minus $28,000. The extra convenience spending, minus $5,000. Work-related expenses, minus $2,500. Total costs that exist only because partner B works, $47,500. Partner B's take-home after taxes, $43,500. Costs created by partner B working, $47,500. The second income doesn't contribute $65,000 to the household. It doesn't contribute $43,500. It costs the household $4,000 per year. Someone is working 2,080 hours a year, waking up at 6 a.m., sitting in traffic, eating sad desk lunches, missing bedtime stories, skipping soccer games, and the net financial impact is negative $4,000. That's negative $1.92 per hour. Let that sink in. Now let me tell you about the Parkers, because their story illustrates the psychological side of this trap. David and Michelle Parker, late 30s, 2 kids, household income $172,000, suburban Denver. On paper, affluent. In practice, Michelle cried in her car in the daycare parking lot last March because she realized she was paying $2,400 per month so someone else could watch her kids while she worked a job that, after all costs, contributed less than the daycare charged. She wasn't crying because she was bad with money. She was crying because she did the math. And it gets worse over time. A 2023 Pew Research Center study found that 62% of dual-income parents say they find it very or somewhat difficult to balance work and family responsibilities. That stress doesn't just feel bad, it costs money. Stressed families make worse financial decisions. They impulse buy for emotional relief. They overspend on their kids out of guilt for not being around. They take expensive vacations they can't afford because they're desperate for relief from the grind. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that financial stress increases impulsive spending by up to 30% compared to non-stressed consumers. But here's where it gets even scarier. Most people look at their gross household income and build their lives around that number. They qualify for mortgages based on that number.
They lease cars based on that number. But that number is a lie. It's the before picture, and nobody shows you the after. And this is where the bidding war effect makes everything worse. When most families had one income, housing prices reflected what one earner could afford. When dual income became the norm, families had twice the purchasing power chasing the same homes in the same school districts. Prices doubled. In the single-income era, a median home cost about 2.5 times the median household income. Today, it's over 5.5 times. Both incomes are now required just to afford what one income used to buy. That's not progress. That's an arms race where everybody escalated and nobody won.
Consider this scenario. Partner A gets laid off. It happens. In 2024, the tech sector alone laid off over 150,000 workers, according to layoffs.fyi tracking data. The single-income family from 1970 had a built-in backup. The stay-at-home parent could enter the workforce temporarily. That was their emergency reserve. The dual-income family in 2025 has already activated that reserve. It's already spent. There's no backup. There's no next card to play. If either income disappears, the family doesn't just tighten their belt. They can't make the mortgage payment because the mortgage was sized for 2 incomes. The car payments were sized for 2 incomes. The entire financial structure collapses like a house of cards in a breeze. Here's the math that should keep every dual-income family up at night. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances shows that the median American family's net worth is $192,900. That sounds okay until you realize that the median home equity is $201,000. Strip out the house, and half of American families have negative non-housing net worth. They own less in liquid assets and investments than they owe in debt. 2 incomes, 2 decades of working, and they've built nothing but equity in a house they can't access without selling it. A 2024 Bankrate survey found that 56% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency expense from savings, more than half. And a significant portion of those people are in dual-income households pulling in 6 figures. They're not financially illiterate. They're not irresponsible. They're caught in a system where the math doesn't work and nobody told them. They just kept grinding, kept earning, kept spending what the system demanded and assumed that eventually the numbers would start making sense. They never did.
This isn't just bad budgeting. This isn't Marcus and Jada being careless. This isn't the Nuyens not trying hard enough. This is a systemic extraction machine that was built over 50 years, and it runs on your dual income. Here's what I mean. In the 1970s, the average family spent about 25% of one income on housing, according to Census Bureau historical data. When women entered the workforce in massive numbers through the 1980s and 1990s, household purchasing power effectively doubled, and the market responded exactly how you'd expect. It raised prices. Housing costs didn't just increase with inflation, they increased relative to dual-income purchasing power. The system recalibrated. Lenders started qualifying borrowers on 2 incomes. Builders started pricing for dual-income buyers. 2 incomes became the entry fee, not the advantage. The healthcare industry banks on your dual coverage. Insurance companies, hospital systems, they price their services knowing most families have 2 workers contributing to premiums and deductibles. They depend on your exhaustion keeping you from questioning an $847 bill for a 15-minute urgent care visit. The childcare industry exists in its current form only because both parents work. It's a $60 billion per year sector that literally depends on the dual income model. If even 20% of families went back to single income structures, the industry would collapse. They rely on your second income flowing directly into their revenue. This is where I get genuinely frustrated. The entire American middle-class economic infrastructure has been restructured around the assumption that every household has 2 full-time workers. And that restructuring didn't benefit the workers. It benefited the mortgage lenders, the insurance companies, the childcare chains, and the consumer brands who know that exhausted, time-poor, guilt-ridden parents are the most profitable customers on earth. They budget for your stress spending. They design their marketing around your guilt. They price their convenience for your desperation. And here's the 5-year projection that should terrify you. The couple that doesn't understand this math will spend the next decade running faster on the same treadmill. They'll get raises that get absorbed by inflation and lifestyle creep. They'll refinance the house to consolidate credit card debt, then run the cards back up. By 55, they'll have a paid-off mortgage, a depleted 401k, and the sudden realization that they can't actually afford to retire. Meanwhile, the couple who sees the trap, who restructures around one income and weaponizes the second, will be sitting on $500,000 in invested assets. Same jobs, same starting point, completely different outcomes. The only difference is who understood the math. You're not broken for feeling like $150,000 isn't enough.
You're experiencing a system that was redesigned to consume exactly as much as you earn, no matter how much that is.
So what do you actually do with this information? The answer is not one of you should quit your job tomorrow. We have to be realistic. Bills exist. Obligations exist. But the answer is also not just keep grinding and hope it gets better, because the math says it won't. The answer is to stop playing by the rules the system designed for you and start playing by math that actually works. Strategy 1. The shadow budget. Most families budget based on gross income. Stop. Build what I call a shadow budget. Take your second income and subtract every cost that exists only because that person works. Taxes, childcare, commuting, convenience spending, work wardrobe, everything. Whatever's left, that's the real contribution. If it's $5,000, great. That's your actual second income number. Build your lifestyle around one income plus that real number, not one income plus $65,000. One income plus $5,000. That shift alone will fundamentally change every financial decision you make. Strategy 2. The flex reserve. Instead of having both partners locked into demanding full-time roles, explore whether one partner can shift to a more flexible arrangement. Remote work, freelance, part-time, or contract work. Even a $15,000 pay cut that eliminates $25,000 in dual income costs is a net gain of $10,000. Run the real math before you dismiss this. Strategy 3. Strategic cost extraction. Go through every fixed cost in your life and ask, am I paying dual income pricing for this? Your mortgage, your cars, your insurance. The family that downsizes from a $420,000 house to a $320,000 house saves roughly $650 per month. That's $7,800 per year. Invested at a 7% average annual return over 20 years, that's $338,000 in wealth hiding inside a smaller house. Strategy 4. The compounding escape velocity. If you can free up even $1,000 per month from the strategies above and invest it consistently, the math flips. $1,000 per month at 7% annual return becomes $173,000 in 10 years, $520,000 in 20, $810,000 in 25. That's not your combined earnings doing the work. That's math working for you instead of against you. Look, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. It requires choices that feel like going backwards, a smaller house, a less prestigious zip code, saying no to things your dual income friends say yes to. It requires earning $145,000 and living like you earn $80,000. But that discomfort lasts a decade. The alternative, treading water for 40 years and retiring with nothing but home equity and a Social Security check, lasts forever. You're not failing at money. The game was redesigned while you were too busy working to notice. The families who build real wealth in this economy aren't the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who refuse to let the system dictate what they spend. Two incomes can be an extraordinary advantage, but only if you treat the second one like the escape hatch it should be, not the baseline it's become. If this video made you rethink a single financial decision, share it with the couple in your life who's grinding on two incomes and can't figure out why it's not working. They're not doing anything wrong, they just haven't seen the math yet. Subscribe if you want more content that breaks down the financial systems nobody explains to you. I'll see you in the next one.